And now let's talk about the 4 planes of analysis. So there are 4 planes of analysis. It is the basic semiotic, iconic, contextual, and the evaluative. So first, let's talk about the basic semiotic. So basic semiotic plane covers the elements and the general technical and physical aspects of the work. The elements include visual elements, choice of medium and technique, the format of the work, and the other physical properties and marks. So in the visual elements, the examples are line, color, tone, pattern, texture, and form. So they are the building blocks of composition in art. When we analyze any painting, drawing, or sculpture or design, we examine these component parts to see how they combine to create the overall effect of the artwork. So should be viewed in a highly rational manner and not isolated or compartmentalized. So the example is the Bulaklak by Angela Pascual. It symbolizes femininity, the essence of the woman. The English word feminine is derived from the Latin word femina, meaning woman or female. The blooming flower represents puberty of the female. Female humans and the presence of the fallen signifies that she is ready to conceive. So the artwork Bulaklak by Angela Pascual, it shows different visual elements like line, color, tone, and the texture. So visual elements have a relationship to one another. Most images begin their life as line drawings. Lines cross over one another to form shapes. Shapes can be filled with tone and color or repeated to create a pattern. A shape may be rendered with a rough surface to create a texture, and a shape may be projected into 3 dimensions to create a form. Each of the elements may also be used individually to stress their own particular character in an artwork. Different elements can express qualities such as movement and rhythm, space and depth, growth and structure, harmony and contrast, noise and calm, and a wide range of emotions that make up the subjects of great art. Now let's talk about the line. Line is the foundation of all drawing. It is the first and most versatile of the visual elements of art. Line in an artwork can be used in many different ways. It can be used to suggest shape, pattern, form, structure, growth, depth, distance, rhythm, movement, and a range of emotions. So we have a psychological response to different types of lines. It is the curviline's. It suggests comfort and ease. Horizontal lines, it suggests distance and calm. Vertical lines suggest height and strength. Jagged lines suggest turmoil and anxiety. The way we draw a line can convey different expressive qualities. So the way we draw a line can convey different expressive qualities. So the freehand lines can express the personal energy and mood of the artist. Mechanical lines can express a rigid control. Continuous lines can lead the eye in certain directions. Broken lines can express the ephemeral or the insubstantial. Thick lines can express strength, and the thin lines can express delicacy. So the examples of the line are the Sleeping Venus by Giorgione. It is in the horizontal position or sleep and in rest. So as I've mentioned a while ago, that horizontal lines, it suggests distance and calm. So the second is the Oblition by Guillermo Tolentino. It is in vertical line. It suggests strength and stability. So on the next, let's talk about the shape. Shape can be natural or man-made, regular or irregular, flat, two-dimensional or solid, three-dimensional, representational or abstract, geometric or organic, transparent or opaque, positive or negative, decorative or symbolic, colored, patterned, or texture. The perspective of shapes, the angles and curves of shapes appear to change depending on our viewpoint. The technique we use to describe this change is called the perspective drawing. The behavior of shapes. So shapes can be used to control your feelings in the composition of an artwork. The squares and rectangles can portray strength and stability. The circles and ellipses can represent continuous movement. Triangles can lead the eye in an upward movement. The inverted triangles can create a sense of imbalance and tension. So the example is the Francis Campbell Boileau Cadell, The Blue Fan, 1922, Oil on Canvas. So, and the next, let's talk about the tone. Tone is the lightness or darkness of a color. The tonal values of an artwork can be adjusted to alter its expressive character. So, tone can be used to create a contrast of light and dark, to create the illusion of form, to create a dramatic or tranquil atmosphere, to create a sense of depth and distance, to create a rhythm or pattern within a composition. So the example of the tone is The Girl with the Pearl Earring by Johannes Vermeer. So next, let's talk about the color. Color is the visual element that has the strongest effect in our emotions. We can use color to create the mood or atmosphere of an artwork. So, a trivia that black, color of mourning in Western or Western influenced societies. Black can also be a symbol of elegance, class, and sophistication. So, white is the color of mourning in Asian countries. White is also a symbol of peace and surrender. So there are many different approaches to use the color. So the color as light, color as tone, color as pattern, color as symbol, color as movement, color as harmony, and color as contrast, and color as mode. So the example of color is the Autumn Landscape with Boats by Wassily Kandinsky. So it shows different types of colors. So next, let's talk about the pattern. Pattern is made by repeating or echoing the elements of an artwork to communicate a sense of balance, harmony, contrast, rhythm, or movement. So there are two basic types of pattern in art: the natural pattern and the man-made pattern. Both natural and man-made patterns can be regular or irregular, organic or geometric, structural or decorative, positive or negative, and repeating or random. So natural pattern in art is often based on the inspiration we get from observing the natural patterns that occur in nature. So we can see this in the shape of a leaf and the branches of a tree, the structure of a crystal, the spiral of a shell, the symmetry of a snowflake, and the camouflage and signaling patterns on animals, fish, and insects. So the man-made pattern in art is used for both structural and decorative purposes. For example, an artist may plan the basic structure of an artwork by creating a compositional pattern of lines and shapes. So within that composition, he or she may develop its visual elements to create a more decorative pattern of color, tone, and texture across the work. So the example of the pattern is The Dream City by Paul Klee. The next visual element is the texture. Texture is the surface quality of an artwork, the roughness or softness of the material from which it is made. We experience texture in two ways. It is optically or through sight, and physically or through touch. Optical texture: an artist may use his or her skillful painting technique to create the illusion of texture. Second is the physical texture. An artist may paint with expressive brush strokes whose texture conveys the physical and emotional energy of both the artist and his or her subject. They may also use the natural texture of their materials to suggest their own unique qualities, such as the grain of wood, the grittiness of sand, the flaking of rust, the coarseness of cloth, and the smear of paint. So, the ephemeral texture: this is a third category of textures whose fleeting forms are subject to change, like clouds, smoke, flames, bubbles, and liquids. So the example of the texture is the detail of bouquet of flowers in an urn by Jan van Huysum. So in the detail from a traditional Dutch still life above, you can see remarkable verisimilitude, the appearance of being real. So in the painted, insects and drops of moisture on the silky surface of the flower. So the last visual element is the form. Form is the physical volume of a shape and the space that it occupies. Form can be representational or abstract. Form generally refers to sculpture, 3D design, and architecture, but may also relate to the illusion of 3D on a 2D surface. Three-dimensional form can be modeled, carved, and constructed. It can be created from sculptural materials like clay, wax, plaster, wood, stone, concrete, cast and constructed metal, plastics, resins, glass, and mixed media. It may also be kinetic, involving light and movement generated by natural, mechanical, and electronic means. More recently, the CAD process of 3D painting has been added to the list of sculptural processes. So 2D dimensional form constructs the illusion of 3D in 2D media by a skillful manipulation of the visual elements. So the example of form is the Tindaro Scripulato, Tindarius Crux by Igor Mitoraj. And that's all for the basic semiotic plane. Thank you.